If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowances for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor look too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can hear the truth you've spoken twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life for broken, and stoop and build them up with worn-out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at the beginning, and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are done, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 40 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son.
you write women so well?
I think of a man, and I take away reason and accountability.
Today is the beginning of the end and the start of a new beginning. Time has come to refine yourself and let go of the demons in your head that have held you in captivity for so long. It's time to flip the page and prove them wrong. It's time for rebirth. Yeah, time's up to say goodbye to all the haters, doubters, and believers trying to bring you down. In the blink of an eye, you'll realize that there's so much more to the book than the page you were stuck on. Finally, you will feel free to live a life you love living instead of the life you think other people want you to live. Remember, you are the highest authority when it comes to knowing what you want and what you love. So stop trading yourself for the approval from others. Ladies and gentlemen, weirdos and geeks, please repeat after me. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a I don't give a fuck. 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 It's time to start doing the right thing. So trust your instinct. Stop listening to others and own your decisions. People will always tell you what to do, speak and how to live. So let's create space for what matters most to you. You'll be glad you did. Now start claiming your time and your mental well-being by saying no more. No more. Say it loudly and proudly. In other words, fuck you. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck.
Target acquired.
Eagle 1, first strike. You have permission to engage the target.
Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Grid, I think you're muted. Technical difficulties. Hold one. Hold the line. Oh, while he's doing that, what's up, Woody Johnson? Great
There we go.
name. Very jealous. There he is.
That's my bad. My bad.
I did that. Totally my fault. Welcome, Joe Mobley. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing just fine. Not working hard today. And the reason is because the company I work for has a wellness day tomorrow. So everyone's kind of treating this like Friday. So it's my Friday, which is good because it's a heavy show day with the 8 a.m. and Samantha on at 8:30. And
yeah, I'm going to get in on the
today.
I'm going to get in on the Samantha show. I'm going to get in.
Sweet. My allergies are going crazy, so apologies if there's like tissue and crap. It's just what are we gonna do?
Yeah, I had a chest infection a couple of weeks ago. I thought it was just like a cold or something, but it looks like it was a chest infection, and so it's gone for the but I'm left with this nagging cough for. They say it could be another week or two before it like really goes away. So that's awesome. That's awesome, which is fine. I don't mind the cough once in a while. So Joe, just because this is only your second time on the show and the first time we kind of burned through it, can you talk about who you are and what you do and why you are where you are?
Yeah.
Just like the 5-minute elevator speech, I guess.
5 minutes. Good night. I was going to do 30 seconds.
You can do 10, man. You can do 10.
I am Joe Mobley. I call myself the original uncloseted conservative because in 2020, between everyone's favorite illness and the unfortunate, very likely drug overdose of crackhead and everyone's favorite criminal, Saint George Floyd, just between those two events, I was like, this is nuts. Why is no one saying anything? And it's because conservatives can't share their thoughts, their opinions, their beliefs. They're unauthorized. And I was like, bull crap. United States Army veteran. I served for 12 years. I was a deputy for a couple of years. I was like, bull crap. No, I'm not playing this game. I happen to be all of the bad things except for white. I'm a straight Christian male. I married the mother of my children. I have one baby mama. I call her my wife. She calls me her husband. We do patriarchal things. And I through some cosmic joke, I ended up living in Loudoun County, Virginia. I'm from Virginia, love Virginia. Army took us away. We came back at first opportunity. I serviced some, I'll say, clients up at Fort Meade. So I lived in Maryland. I made it a whole 8 months in Maryland, and then we started looking to move back to Virginia. I am a current professional in the intelligence community. I'm a contractor, so the Hatch Act doesn't apply to me. I get to say what I want within reason, obviously. Yeah, and now I guess I've joined the ranks of the guys that complain on the internet. But the thing that makes us high impact is I'm the same character I am online, at church, and at the line in the grocery store, and just walking down the street. I wear my MAGA hat with a smile on my face, song in my heart. Being an uncloseted conservative, wearing stuff like this, Joe Biden 1 star would not recommend. I've got it for Kamala Harris, and I've got one of my best-selling shirts is my AR-15 identifies as a stick. I wear that stuff. I wear the opinion on my sleeve, on my chest. I wear the hat. It starts more conversations that lead to the problem of evil, lead to the cross, lead to the resurrection story than anything else I've ever tried insofar as evangelism goes. But yeah, I host a daily podcast called The Joe Mobley Show because I can't come up with creative names. It's a culture commentary show. The mission is to restore, rebuild, revive America's dying culture. Part of that is coming out of the conservative closet, sharing your thoughts, opinions, beliefs like Grid One here. Not just privately, not just nameless, faceless way online, but with people you actually know, with colleagues. In my offices with super woke people, I talk to them about why I'm voting for Trump. I talk to them about why patriarchy is a better system than all this feminism nonsense. I operate within it. My boss is a girl. My boss is a girl. I almost said my girl is a boss. My girl is a boss, but anyway, she's just not my boss. My boss is a girl. I'm not a supremacist here. I'm fine doing that. I would just say, hey, this is going to result in more human suffering. Being ruled by women and children results in human suffering. Yeah, that was nowhere near 10 minutes, but that is what I got. Thanks for having me on, man. I love
That was pretty
these-
good.
these
That was pretty
shows.
good. And we actually just had it. We were having a great conversation over on Chaotic Truth about the Hezbollah elimination gadgets, which I don't, and I actually said more over there than I wanted to, because realistically, I try not to really form opinions until I have a lot of data, and I feel like we just don't have a lot of data. The only opinion that I shared, and I think the only opinion I shared strongly was that you cannot. I can't see how this is anything but just warfare, right? That it just is, and there's no way to get around that. I mean, I understand that the press and the media that doesn't do their jobs is going to label it as terrorism or wanton killing or any number of things that they publish without any meaningful dialogue behind it. I get it, but I don't actually have an opinion on whether or not it was the right thing to do or not the right thing to do, other than all's fair in love and war. That's how that works. And of course, I have that saying. I ask everyone as a greeting. I often say, "How goes the war?" And I get a lot of funny looks about that, but life is war, right? Just getting up in the morning is warfare. The fact that you survived another day on this planet is not a bad gig. That's not bad. That's not a bad result. And we're very complacent in our Western society, and the rest of the world is not.
No, we're all kings and queens, man. What are you talking about? We've got climate control to control the climate in the car, in the house, in the office. we are all John Lovell talks about this all the time. We are all kings and queens. The literal monarchs didn't have ice and ice cream until very recent history. I believe
that's true.
1610-ish. Some Italian and French monarch union at their wedding was, oh wait, no, is it 1416? Recent history though, like literal kings and queens didn't have the everyday amenities that we have.
There's a story in antiquity about, I want to say it was one of the King Richards. It might have been Lionheart. I think it was his dad. I don't remember which Richard it was, but he was ill. He had fever, and they're fighting the Moors in the Holy Land. So it's hot. And his his enemy, the leader of the Moors at that time, we call them Muslims today, but they were Moors. The leader of the Moors at that time found out that he was ill and sent runners to the far off mountains to bring back ice and mixed it with cream and whatever, and served it to King Richard, which is, near as I can tell, is the first time a white man had ice cream.
So Richard is
one of the Richards. I think it was King Richard the Lionheart. English king.
Well, I'm just trying to think years.
His brother John stole his throne while he was fighting in the Holy Land.
Yeah,
Robin Hood. So the whole story of Robin Hood revolves around the idea that Robin Hood was a faithful vassal of King Richard and fought Prince John, who was stealing the throne from the Lionheart.
All right, so we're both right. So if he had the ice cream, he had ice cream on or about 1200 as an individual. The first time that it was kind of mainstream introduced to like the monarchs and their guests and all was in the 1670s. Which would have been a Charles. But like this is stuff I'm in bed last night. I look over at the wife. My sweet tooth is activated. She's like, I'm like, you want ice cream? She said, yeah, I'm 2 Wegmans and back in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
With
Right. I get it.
It just we have whatever we want. It's great. I mean, look at what we're doing, bro, on the internet.
Right.
It's,
Yeah. And you know what's
you
interesting,
hit the
and
nail
I
on the
trigger
head.
people. I love to actually trigger people with this. Is that you know what's really making Americans fat? Air conditioning. Because you don't go outside. Because you'd rather sit inside in the air conditioning than go out because it's too hot.
Interesting. That's true. Sweating is also a caloric function.
It
so
is.
yeah, that sedentariness with perfectly cooled, conditioned environments,
Right.
the maintenance calories it takes. Man, that's what I miss about being in the Army. I miss being an athlete. I miss being a tactical athlete where my maintenance calories were like 5,000 or 6,000 calories some days. That's where
Right.
that's what I was burning just to exist, not for a heavy workout. If we went out and rucked 10 or 12 miles, then I might have an 8, 9, 10,000 calorie day. And my body was so efficient at just burning energy, dude. Like I loved it. And I don't have that feeling at all anymore. I
No,
work at a desk. I sit at a desk and do this all day. Click, clack, click, clack.
yeah, I mean, we could go down, honestly, diet, you're talking about maintenance calories, but think about the amount of bread and fruit and vegetables that we eat now that was impossible to eat
Yeah.
throughout history, right? Like
a
your
banana.
main meal every day was meat, and usually meat in a form of a stew because you couldn't get that much actual meat, right? So it was a few vegetables, some meat, and water, and that was your average meal because that's just what it was. And now we walk in and order a 16-ounce steak and have 4 buttered rolls before the salad even comes, and then we have pasta on top of it, right?
Man, that butter's so good though. When it's like,
well, butter
not
actually
quite
was a
whipped.
staple. Butter was actually, and I forget which society it was, but there's a society that has a staple of their diet was this butter, and it was like a yogurt, but it was butter and cream and meat and something else. And when you put it all together, it doesn't spoil. Right. And so it was a staple of their diet. I'm sure that, think about the amount of fat in that. Right. So those guys had no joint problems. You know what I'm saying? Like those guys they were getting plenty of fat and gelatin and all that.
This person just meant this as a joke. I'm gonna pick on it just because
Sure.
I can. But the Smoking Patriot says, yeah, we would die in Florida without air conditioning. But honestly, there's nothing more resilient than humans. And what we've done is we've wussified ourselves. There's no climate. There's no climate. There are no conditions on Earth that we've not been able to conquer. And there's no other, I don't consider us an animal. But for the sake of common language, there's no other animal, no other creature on Earth that is as resilient as we are, that can live in all the environments that we can live in, that could be called an apex predator. And if we step out of, there's a book called The Comfort Crisis, great read, highly recommend you read it. It's on my Amazon reading list. If we step out of it, we become a much grittier person. We become a much more dangerous and capable person. And I don't even care to speak about self-esteem, but we become more fulfilled. Like we wake up happier, already feeling like I've achieved so much. What am I going to conquer today? So I don't know. Maybe turn the AC off for a day. Maybe one day a week.
I kick my kid out. It's so bad that I was thinking about it the other day. I was thinking about it the other day is that when I was a kid in the 70s and early 80s, we didn't have air conditioning at all. We have one air conditioner, I think it was for the living room, and that was only on for a couple of hours a day, if that. And other than that, like you went to bed and it was whatever temperature it was, that's what it was. Of course, I think we had fans, but that just moves air. And I'm in the South, man, and we would go out and play in 100-degree heat, not think anything about it. If you send a kid out to play in 100-degree heat now, that you're going to be lucky if your neighbor doesn't turn you in for child abuse. Like, you know, you're going to be, you might get a visit from CPS for neglect because you let your kid go out on a hot day. I just think I think it's interesting. I think it's really very, very interesting. I think it's very, very interesting how how modernity has changed us, right? And especially here. So,
I mean, it's the worst here. We're the softest. Every generation of soldiers like trying to say we're just as hardcore as our forefathers. I know that I am a wuss compared to my grandpa who went to Vietnam and compared to his I think his grandpa or even great grandfather that fought in World War II. And our military history goes back to about 1903. I know that I am the weakest link. that my version of American masculinity is a wuss. Like,
right.
As manly as I am, I'm a schoolgirl compared to, you know, these guys in the boat back here.
I didn't intend to kind of go this way. We'll get to actual politics and stuff here in a minute, but would you recognize that you could take the fittest athlete today that's on a programmed diet that has a monitored workout that's, you know, tested 2 or 3 times a week for performance. You could take that guy and stick him in with like the 1920s and 30s, like fit dudes, and he would not excel. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, he'd fail miserably.
So I read something when I was a younger man, and I really hate to put this out there because we live in such a state of denial. But I read this book from, I want to say it was like 1810 or 1815, and it was concerning the Apache Indian warrior because they had just fought a war with those guys of like maybe 30 years, 40 years before. And this guy was kind of reflecting on his time as an Indian scout. And one of the things that he remarks about is that the average Apache warrior was expected to be able to travel 25 miles a day in the desert.
Screw that, dude.
The average guy. Right? Like there's that guy, Matt, whatever his name is, that was on Dual Survival. He's been on a bunch of survival type shows. And he can run 25 miles drop of the hat. And he kind of lives that primal energy lifestyle. And but that would be the average, right? Like 25 miles a day. That's a lot of First of all, you think that's a lot of running, bro? That's a lot of running. Don't
sign me up for that.
Sorry?
Don't sign me up for that.
Don't sign you up for that. It's just a really interesting evaluation of society, right?
Have you seen those when not Reagan, JFK is his school movement program. I can't believe I'm forgetting what it's called, but
it was in the 1950s. It was, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, the videos and stuff, they tested those kids. It wasn't just a bunch of white kids with their shirts off. They tested those kids into capability groups. Those kids were amazing. And non-athletic kids got turned into highly athletic kids within weeks. I think it was like 6 weeks. Yeah. I can't remember the name of the freaking program.
No, I did a thing on it with Kat a while back. Yeah. about how, if you look at the pictures of people in the 1950s and 60s, pre-liberation, free sex movement and pre drug addled youth. If you look at pictures of kids back then, or teenagers, or men and women, the one thing you're going to notice is that obese people are not the norm. Oh, Joe, you dropped out, buddy. Sorry, guys, he dropped it. He's back. He's back. He hit the wrong button. I'm positive he hit the wrong button.
Oh, I hit a button?
I don't know. I didn't do anything.
I might have. I have no idea. Yeah. Anyway, kids, you're saying if you look at pictures of kids.
Yeah, if you look at the pictures of them back in the day, it's very hard to actually find what a fat person, what we would consider obese in modernity. What they considered obese is like still okay in modernity. We've moved the goalposts so far. It's crazy, and
yeah, there didn't used to be fat kids. The fat kid thing is an epidemic. But have you ever thought about this? I saw a tweet once. I forget if it was a meme or if it was a written out tweet, but it said the United States is the only country in the history of the world that has poor fat people.
No, that's a real thing. And I've said that my whole life.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. So I remember I grew up poor, and I actually grew up like I couldn't even afford to be in the projects, man. Like I was project adjacent, right? I lived in the cheap rentals next to the projects. You know what I'm saying? And so just being honest. And
Section 8's like a step up. Yeah.
I don't think Section 8 existed then, but like the housing projects, those guys, you would see these women come out, and they had to turn sideways to get through the door, man. Like they maneuvered to go through the door, and they'd have like 5, 6, 7 kids running around, and it's just, and they lived in squalor. I mean, when people show me pictures of like Ethiopia and Haiti and what's opposite of Ghana, the on the other side, the French side,
Cambodia.
No, Ghana's in Africa, not Cambodia's in Asia. That's 2 continents different. But the French settled one side, the English settled the other. The English side is prosperous. The French settled side is terrible. The English side was Protestant. The French side was Catholic. It's a very interesting dynamic. Anyway, but it's just squalor,
Ghana,
man. I mean, dirty.
Nigeria, Benin, Mali, Liberia.
I think it's not Liberia. Sorry, what was the other one?
You got Mali. You got Burkina Faso, Nigeria, Benin.
It might be Benin. I think it's Benin because it's Ghana. They're like right next to each other.
Oh, then there's this little tiny place. What are you? Togo? What the? Man, I swear, Africa, y'all add a new country every time. This is why I've never even heard of this one. What are there, like 54 countries in Africa now?
We've got a South African in the audience right now. But I mean, squalor, dude. Like I would live next to these places, and these were places that they would literally have. I think it was the Congo. Thank you, Crystal Strange. And I'm just talking about in America here. I have an actual African in my chat. It's the whitest dude you'll ever see.
All of my African friends are white, except
I got to get Crystal
one.
Strange up here just so you can see his magnificent mustache. But when we talk about how people live now versus then, back in the 70s and early 80s when I was growing up, I lived next door to these places, and these people lived in squalor, but they had so much, but they just didn't care because they didn't earn any of it. And I mean, just like trash piled up and dogs running wild, and just all of the things that you think of when you think like trashy people. I saw that growing up, man. I saw that. I actually saw that. And so I've always endeavored to never be that, ever. And I look down on it, and I probably shouldn't. It's probably wrong of me to do so, but I look down on anytime somebody tells me that they're Section 8 or in the projects or anything like that. I look down on it because my frame of reference is people that get so much and do nothing with it. That's my frame of reference. I don't have any other frame of reference for that. I've never seen anyone that lived in that situation, that saved their money, that took the benefit of the aid, and then moved on and became gainful, awesome humans. And I don't believe the system allows people to do that. I just don't believe it. And I believe that that's why the system has to be dismantled. Those people need to be freed from that slavery, and they need to move on to better lives. That's just my opinion. It's because I grew up looking at it and living in it and playing with those kids and running from those kids because they were all violent, thug mofos. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was terrible. But sorry, man, I didn't mean to get dark there for a minute. But that's that's what it is.
It's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a cool tattered flag in the back.
Yeah, that's got the Second Amendment written on it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, or it lasered into it. There's a lady that does these locally. I think maybe her husband has the program and runs the it's either a plasma cutter or a laser cutter. It's really heavy steel. It's like 1/8-inch thick steel. And she did them, and she would then hand paint them and she was giving them to the gun stores and some other clients in the area. And she gave one to the gun store that I frequented, and the owner didn't have anywhere to put it. And he's like, "Hey man, do you want this? I can't, I got to do something with it." And you're like,
Yeah.
You're like a deserving dude. And I'm like, I am deserving. Thank you very much. I need this. I will take that home with me right now. Thank you for that.
I remember when I used to frequent gun stores, and I did tragically lose all of my guns, pistols, rifles, everything. These are the only prop guns that are left. It was a real tragedy. So we're gonna need to start putting air tags or something on our firearms, because they just keep going down with the ship, man.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Yeah. I don't take mine on boats anymore. I used to take them for boat rides. Let them get some sun, that kind of thing. But I decided that wasn't worth it, because they're just so risque that they just get too near the side, and then next thing you know, they're jumping at they're committing suicide or self-deletion into the water. So
you mentioned letting them get some sun. I dated this white girl in high school, bless her heart. She asked me, I was a lifeguard back then, and she asked me if I sunbathed, and I didn't recognize the term. I'm like, I don't know what that is. I thought it was like some kind of outdoor bathing. She was like, do you tan? And I was like, do I get darker? She was like, no, do you lay out in the sun to tan? I'm like, black people don't do that. No. No, I'm out in the sun, but out of utility, because I have to be. But man, I miss it though. I hate working in an office. I really do. If I knew of a way that I could make the income that I need while working outside, I would probably pursue that. Maybe I need to go back and become like some kind of construction worker,
rig welder,
and
be a welder, make $80,000 a year.
Well, we operate on a little bit more than that, or maybe, I don't know. Maybe we should just leave and downsize everything. And it's so funny because so many people, they get all this crap for the kids. My kids don't care how big the house is. Children don't care about any of the luxurious bullcrap unless you have very intentionally raised little douchebags. They don't care about the cars, the interior. They don't care about the square footage of the home. honestly, they care more about the yard than the home if you're raising them right. So I don't know. Maybe we just moved back. And our first place was this tiny little shoebox. Like it was so small. Maybe we just move into one of those and get some land.
I talk all the time about how the idea of starter homes has just gone by the wayside, and people get so in debt. They get so indebted, and usually early on, like when you really can't afford it, and you have to make, X amount, like just for example, let's just say my monthly spend is, 10 or 12 grand a month, right? And it can be that right now. Like, I don't think people understand how bad the economy really, truly is. Hang on, I got it. So Anson was on last night as my bot, WMD. WMD is the bot. He is the weapon of mass destruction that we've been looking for. So he is the droid we're looking for.
Someone call George W. Bush. We found him. We found him, Mr. President. After all these years, they said it couldn't be done. But dang it, we did it.
It wasn't a real thing, but it is. Yeah. So the idea of a starter home, the idea of being in your means and not going into debt, especially not going into debt right out of the gate. I think that's left the chat. I mean, let's just be honest. Like when I talk to some, and we're it's funny because we had somebody on the other night, and he's like, yeah, we're renting now. We're about to have a baby. We're looking at a home, $450,000. I'm like, wait, what? Why would you do that? Why would you do that in Texas? I'm like, move further out. You can find a nice place with some acreage for like $75K. Get into that. And then if you make more, then maybe you upgrade. If not, then hey man, you didn't ruin your life, I don't know. It's a very interesting it's very interesting the way people live their lives right now. We all live, well, not all. Most people live far above their means. Far above. I think what was the latest statistic is the
gotta
average
buy stuff that we don't want to impress people that we don't even like. What are you talking about,
and they don't
man?
care anything about us.
Yeah.
What's the stats right now? I think that most like 80% of the adults, I'm assuming they're saying over 18, have something like 8 or 9 grand in credit card debt at the minimum. I forget what it is.
That seems a little bit low, but yeah.
I think it seems well. But
there's
I mean,
the other
average.
stat that only 1 in 12 Americans can handle $1,000 emergency. Like that.
That's crazy.
That hurts my freaking soul, dude.
That's crazy, man. Well, right now, I mean, you can't even have $1,000 emergency. Your average emergency is going to be 3, 4, 5 grand. Right? Like that's the reality. That's the reality we live in right now. I mean, let's think about. I mean, we'll keep the show a little bit financial today. I was going to go political, but I like this. This is good. I think that, and I've noticed it's getting worse. I mean, you think about right now. I don't know. I don't know what it's like in your area, but in my area, if you go to McDonald's as a single dude going to McDonald's just to pick up lunch, you're going to spend $12 to $15. Think about a family of 5. You used to get a family of 5. You go to McDonald's, $25, you're done. You're good. Maybe 30. Now you're looking at $60, $70, man, for McDonald's.
Yeah. Man, the place that hurts the place that just makes me do a double take because I love their fries is freaking Five Guys, man.
Oh man,
I mean, you're dropping like $20 a person when you go there.
Easy, dude. Their burgers are like $10. Yeah. Like just the burger is $10. It's crazy, man. It's just nuts right now what's going on, and that's just that's just fast food. We don't even want to start talking about just regular groceries. I mean, a gallon of milk has almost tripled in price in most areas. It's at least double in all areas. A gallon of milk, man. Gallon of milk.
We get honestly, guys, being inconvenienced a little bit is worth it. So we get our milk, we get a lot of our produce and 90% of our meat from local farmers. We have the two that we go to, and we have like a couple other ones like on reserve. It's inconvenient. Yeah, we have to give up some of the creature comforts to engage in that kind of commerce. If you can do it where you live, do it. Like raw milk, you can't get raw milk in Maryland. I think it's against the law.
You can't do it in Alabama, but you can in Tennessee. And people literally drive across the border to buy milk.
If you can, I mean, we're recognizing times are definitely tough. Just like, work more if you can. I say the same thing of people that have the knowledge, skills, and abilities to create content like this. It's incumbent upon you to do it, because we can expect things to get better. However, we're going to get out of this mess, whether we're talking about sociological issues or we're talking about political, ideological issues or economic, like we are right now. It's going to cost everyone individually. You're going to have to sacrifice something: time, money, talent, whatever. Maybe all three. For me, sacrificing my anonymity was the thing that kept me on the fence the longest, because I'm basically a Ron Swanson. My birthday out on the internet, that's not my real birthday. January 1st, 1989, that's not my real birthday. And guess what? If you don't know me, you don't know my real birthday. I have clients and friends that have known me for a long time. It still pisses them off they don't know my birthday. I don't care. Too bad. I'm that private of a person.
Sure.
But I had to be willing to surrender and give up good bits of my anonymity.
Pardon me.
And bless you. But yeah, you guys in the chat, you got to be willing to put some skin in the game to correct this thing. And I was driving in an Uber the other day, and or Lyft, whatever, and the Tesla pulls up. I'm like, wow, this is kind of a nice car. The gentleman driving was very articulate, and then I clocked that he had a Patek Philippe on, and I was like, bro, what do you do for a living? He was an attorney. He was like, oh yeah, I'm an attorney. Told me the firm that he works for out here in the DC area. I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, man. He does it to give himself some of the experience that some of his he's a trial defense attorney that some of his clients have. So he kind of to root him in their realities.
Sure.
And I'm just like, that's pretty gangster, dude, because it's a rough area out here. I was at a work thing in kind of Georgetown area, and there was some heavy drinking involved. So I knew, I was like, I'm taking an Uber or a Lyft home. But yeah, great conversation from DC all the way out to Loudon. And man, I wish I got that guy's contact. He would be a great podcast interview. But it's going to cost you guys something. It's going to cost you something personally. If you're unwilling to sacrifice, then we're just counting down the days until this country is just completely fails and we turn into something else.
Yeah, I mean, that's it is actually a really kind of sobering thought for many. For me, like, I've been doing this for a while, right? Like I have a farmer that I work with, and I'll buy a half a cow at the beginning of the year, right? And he raises the cow, feeds it, takes care of it, and at the end of the year, he'll butcher it, and then I get half, and then whoever bought the other half gets half. He gets, he makes a few bucks off of it, and I can go look my meat in the face right now. I can go point, he just go look at that. That's my hamburgers right over there. My son calls it beef on a stroll. So, that's
nice.
Pretty good. And
nice.
But
we got to get a new freezer But yeah, that's the way to do it. That's oh man. But it's a
And
little
then
bit inconvenient because you've unless they deliver, I don't know if they do. You've got your regular grocery run that you need to make, and then you need to go out to, your meat provider. And
Sure.
a lot of people aren't willing to deal with that inconvenience, or it can't be delivered to my
lack of
we got
forethought,
freaking-
man. It's
Yeah.
lack of forethought. We're too immediate. We're too immediate as society.
Yes. Yep.
Right. So it takes too much forethought, right? Like here in the South, I don't think it's as big a deal. But I remember when I was in like Denver, when I would visit California, when I visit these other places, and I'm sitting there listening to somebody complain about their food budget. They're complaining about what it costs to put gas in the car. They're complaining about all these things. I'm like, well, okay, why don't you hunt? I mean, the price of a tag for a deer in most places is under $50. A deer give you, 40 pounds of meat. You're not getting 40 pounds of meat for $80 anywhere. I'm just telling you, you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
So, are you, how bad is it for you to just go do some hunting and, and it'll help you, there's some health benefits. It helps you clarity of thought. You're out there by yourself, you get some free time to think. Why not go do that? That could really change. That's something that could actually change your life and your thought processes. It's helpful in multiple ways. Why not go do that? Okay, well, you don't like hunting. Well, about fishing. I personally don't eat that much fish, but my wife does. So when I have time, I'll fire up I'll go put the boat in the water, go out, catch a couple of fish, bring them back. My wife has fresh fish. She's happy. I'm happy. Everybody's happy. Cost me a few bucks in fuel to go do that. And it's not, and I'm out on the lake. I'm having a great time. And it's just forethought, man. And, so the thing with the farmer, right? He's the same guy that bush hogs a field for me. Right. So I'm in contact, and he's a member of my son's scout troop. So when I'm at Boy Scouts, he'll just drop the meat off to me at Boy Scouts, right? And
I just call it the Scouts. I call it the Scouts now instead of Boy Scouts.
No, we don't. We don't.
I do. No, I do.
You call it the Scouts?
Yeah, I call it the Scouts, man.
Yeah.
If chicks can be Boy Scouts, it's the Scouts.
Yeah, nationally they want that to be the case. We'll get that's. I'm not getting into that right now. That's a long conversation. We can have
the Boy Scouts out in Loudoun County. Let me just tell you, it's nuts. Like it's nuts. I look at these dudes and I tell these young men, I'm like, sorry guys, because we go on these different camping trips and stuff. So we homeschool. I practice what I preach. I am the primary influence that's leading the family in whatever direction. Really, God is, but that God is the head of Christ. Christ is the head of man. Man is the head of woman. That's how we do it in this household. If you disagree, that's cool. It's whatever. I'm one of the Christians who actually believes the things in the book. So my 9-year-old, my now 10-year-old son, he is tremendously capable with the firearm. He carries multiple knives. He can start a fire with his bare hands. You just go out in the backyard, go out in the woods, find stuff, create a fire. He's usually more prepared. He has different tools on him to do stuff like that. We go out and there are these other young men, if you want to call them that, and they're 16 or they're 22 and they're totally useless. And my kid comes in there, he's got like a hatchet and he's like doing this stuff on these camping trips. And they were like, now this is my kid that's the most cerebral. He's probably going to be some type of engineer, but he has these incredible skills that it is proper for a man to have. And they're like, where did this kid come from? And it's like, oh, well, and sorry to the kids, your dad was supposed to teach you this. My dad taught me these things. And the few things my dad didn't teach me, yes, the United States Army taught me. But my dad taught me how to build a box. My dad taught me these basic woodworking skills. He did not teach me how to use a firearm. Orange Street, my college roommate, who's a Virginia State trooper, taught me how to shoot a firearm because I I enlisted. I was waiting to go to basic, and I was kind of getting nervous, like, oh, I don't know how to do this, and I want to be good at it when I get there. So shout out to him. He taught me how to shoot in Warrenton, Virginia, on a Savage 270 or an Axis. I can't remember at the moment.
Savage is a Savage.
Yeah, it's incumbent upon us to do that. And now, like some of the Boy Scouts in the area, some of them, they're very capable. Most of them are in Loudon. I don't know about nationwide, but in Loudon, most of the Boy Scouts are social justice warriors, and they've got like nail polish on and colorful hair. And I'm like, are you useful in the woods or in an emergency, or are you a useless burden? And they're a useless burden. Their actions prove that.
My son, he's been in Scouts since 3rd grade, I think.
Oh, nice.
And so he is that kid as well. He shows up, he's ready to go. Like, he has the right pants, the right shirt, all the tools, items that he needs, Scout essentials, the knife, the whistle, the compass. I think he's the only one of his troop that carries a compass, right? And he's always really well prepared. He's always been that way because he enjoys it. He really likes it. And same deal, shooter and everything. But his whole troop is kind of like that. And it's actually created some division in our local council, because most of the troops in my town are traditional. They have a single girls troop that is run now by a woman, not run by a dude. And somehow they have been, without camping, they've been getting signed things that have to be done on a camping trip signed off. And this has become a real point of contention in the council, because yes, the Scout leader is signing off on it, which technically makes it okay, but it's wrong because you're not supposed to do that. It's not supposed to work that way. So I don't know how they're going to resolve that. And there was another in the council. There's another, I think, all female troop. And it's kind of the same thing. Like, they had only been around for a few months, and they already had like under a year, and they had Eagle candidates. Like, how does that happen? You can't do that.
Wow. Wow.
Right. Like that's literally just pencil whipping requirements. Right. But now it's great that you brought that up, because that's a thing in everything in our society right now. Literally everything in our society is that way. It just gets pencil whipped. There's no minimum requirement. If there is a minimum requirement, it's a soft requirement. Who really cares? You got close enough. We're going to let you go. It's fine. You look at, all of the statistics about how people can barely read, and they're graduating high school. They read at like a 3rd grade level.
Oh yeah.
They can't, their handwriting is non-existent. And
you see these kids at the movie theater, or they're a cashier, and it's the total's $5.90, and you give them, or no, the total's $5.10. You give them $6, and then you find a dime, and you're like, oh no, here's a dime, and they're paralyzed. What do I do? It's like, give me $1 back, stupid, not 90 cents.
Yeah.
Virginia's pretty bad for that, unfortunately.
And hot take, I actually don't really have a problem with people who don't have what we would consider a complete high school education, because I think that there's so many things involved in getting a high school diploma that don't actually belong in our education system.
Agreed.
I don't see any reason for most Americans to have to learn a second language. If you want to, certainly I encourage you to. However, to graduate high school, to get through your education, I don't think that should be a requirement. I don't think that various requirements that are currently exist should be required. And furthermore, I don't
The
know
language
that
thing is just a joke. You can't learn a language in 1 or 2 blocks
it
of
is just a
if
joke.
we're really learning a language, then introduce it in 3rd grade and
It's
carry it through.
literally, it is literally just to get some teachers hired. Like it's literally the teachers union saying, you know, we have an overabundance of women's studies teachers, and so we're going to have to make a requirement so that those teachers find jobs, because if they just teach English, they're really not meeting their full potential of their degree. And so, you know, we need to do that, which is dumb. This is this kind of drivel and the kind of mentality that it takes to create courses for teachers to teach because they decided to study that, like ancient Incan society. Like, who cares? Don't make that a requirement, bro.
Well, they don't know about economics. They don't know about supply and demand. So they have created an overabundant supply of something there's no demand for. And then they come in with big daddy government and mandate a demand for it. And it's like, no, that was part of the reason listed in the Declaration of Independence. It's part of the reason that this country even exists, because the crown was creating a demand for things that we had to send them out all of our iron as pig iron, and then they would refine it and make steel and make swords and make cannons and stuff, and then we had to buy them back from them. It's like, are you effing kidding me? We were supposedly not allowed to have not crucibles, what are those things called?
Forges.
Yeah, we weren't supposed to have forges. Now, did we have them? Yeah, of course we did. But they were illegal. And the redcoats would come around and they would destroy them. They would smash them and jail the people who operated them. It's like, learn your freaking history. I'm not doing that. I'm so glad you brought that up. It's like, it's a hot button issue, but it doesn't get enough attention that a hot button issue should get.
Well, people get up in their feels about education, right? Like, if you start telling people that, if you start telling people that there's no reason to have children learning a foreign language when we're not teaching them economics, we're not teaching them actual math they can use. We're requiring algebra and calculus in high school, but we don't teach basic economics. We don't teach basic civics. We don't teach basic government. We don't teach any of the things that they need to know to function in society, but we're teaching them things that maybe one day they could go to college and use this calculus course that they took and paid attention. Maybe they paid attention in. But more than likely, they didn't pay attention in it.
I said this on CT show. I agree 100% with what you're saying and why this is happening. And we don't have to touch this with a 10-foot pole, but why this is all happening and all this feelings-led bullcrap is because we are being rolled by women and children.
I agree with that.
And people are begging for it. Younger and younger senators. No, that's stupid. I don't beat that drum. It's nice to have people in government that have some hard-won wisdom. I am totally fine and comfortable with Donald Trump's age because he's had tremendous successes. He's also had more failures than I've had failures or successes combined. And I enjoy having that wisdom. That's why he wrote The Art of the Deal. That's why he can end wars and control conflicts and broker things like getting rid of the TPP, getting the Abraham Accords born out of nothing. He can do that because of his experience. I don't have that. I'm 35 years old. I have no business being in government.
Yeah, no, that's really actually, it's pretty insightful. And I'll go further. We used to in this country elect leaders, and that was a lot of military leaders, but also business explorers, people that have proven that they could go through hard times and come out on top. This is what we used to elect as leaders. Now it's a popularity contest and who has the least amount of stupid crap that can be dug up against them.
And even more than that, with this "it's my turn" stuff, the traits that made those people, and I'll include women. Sure. Julie Sweet, she's the CEO. She's the international chair of Accenture. She is a phenomenal leader. She's been through tremendous hardships. She's a breast cancer survivor. She's a rich white woman who's a devout Catholic. She goes through a lot of crap to be in her line of work. She was, I think, either the youngest or possibly the youngest female partner at her law firm, McCrath in Manhattan. Not because she's a woman, because she's brilliant. So again, I'm not completely against. Okay. If I were in charge, I wouldn't be actively seeking females in leadership, but I recognize that there are some really capable, tremendously good female leaders. You know, I happen to have worked for Accenture for a number of years. Back when she was North America CEO, and then she became global CEO. But
I think we triggered Clover Tack. Public education.
Oh no, I lost the chat. Let's go.
Here you go. Reading, writing, math, civics, government, phys ed, health, economics, life skills, shop, horticulture, and shooting sports. That's a great list.
Yeah.
And home ec, of course. Algebra and geometry can be learned in shop class. That's absolutely correct. Chemistry and home ec to some degree, but also in science. You don't need a lot of chemistry to survive in the world. I don't actually understand why we need every college graduate to understand molecular biology.
We don't. They sacrificed everything in pursuit of STEM. Well, right. That's the official story. I believe in a conspiracy, but we'll play in the official story.
Cool. That's cool.
They sacrificed everything in pursuit of STEM.
Yeah. Beaten Cheeks comes in with what about geography?
That's his name. Where's that?
His name is Berto, but his name is Beaten. Look, Beaten Cheeks. It's right there.
That's it. What a name. You guys have some great usernames in here.
Yeah.
Great usernames.
He tries to pretend he's black, but he's actually Mexican.
Beaten Cheeks is a very so black hard. Username.
He's going to get triggered just so hard. That's okay though. It's from his Call of Duty days because he was getting him cheeks beat.
Now look. Maybe this is a whole nother. Back when I played video games, my favorite was Ghost Recon. I think Ghost Recon is so underrated, and Call of Duty just kind of came over top and crushed it. But I mean, I've played Ghost Recon for hours with a lot of guys who actually do that line of work, and we all had a much better experience. So it just makes me wonder: is it just the money that was behind Call of Duty, or because I don't know.
I think it was easier to dumb down Call of Duty. Even my 14-year-old can play Call of Duty. So
the storyline of Call of Duty is much better than Ghost Recon. Ghost Recon didn't get decent story until like the third one. Anyway,
Cheek says Call of Duty is awful now.
Oh, which is probably did they go woke? Is it like you have to go rescue lesbian from Donald Trump?
The lesbian has to rescue you. The lesbian rescues you.
Oh man.
Yeah. So the last video. So I never played online video games ever, and no multiplayer video games.
I did Xbox. I didn't do the keyboard.
Yeah, I did. I did Xbox Splinter Cell. But I never played online or anything. And I actually really liked Splinter Cell. It was,
You can pick any flag except for this.
That's gay.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it's gay. That's gay. Yep. Well, another video game I won't try. Not that I was going to anyway, but it's not like they lost a customer. They just never had one to begin with. So you have a trans flag, F-word flags, and whatever DI flags, and he's not making it up. That's stupid.
Can I message her? Pay no attention to me.
Okay.
Answering a question.
Nah, it's all good, man. Chris Lestrange, finish up whatever you're doing out in your shop, and let's get you up here so we can see that magnificent mustache and speak with an actual African. G4 TV? I don't think so. I know you've been away a bit, man. That's okay. It's all good, guys. It's all good. We're actually having a really casual chat. Welcome, Viking Paradigm. How are you, sir? So this is Viking Paradigm's an actual red pill guy. Like he's does some tech stuff for Fresh and Fit.
Drizzle.
Yeah.
I feel like there's like all new slang that I do. I don't feel like I have observed online.
I see you, Nick. I see you, Nick, buddy.
There's all kinds of like new slang that am not
all about
tracking
the drizzle,
at all.
drizzle, man. All about the drizzle.
So,
yeah. Member for 2 months. That's awesome, dude. I really appreciate you being a member of the site, man.
Just rolled out of bed. Viking, where do you live, man? Are you retired or what?
He lives in Florida, but he was up late last night trolling the internet. So.
Oh, speaking of late last night, let me see if Ian, I've been trying to get this thing. It's so late now. It's so not relevant. Ian Crossland, who's on Timcast a lot, he lives fairly close to me, 40 minutes or so. Anyway, I was going to have him on my music channel so we could do live react to Linkin Park's reunion concert. And now it's like 10 days after the fact. And anyway, we scheduled it. Yeah. Linkin Park's my favorite band, man. And I know there's classic rock and all this other stuff. I get it, guys. My undergrad's literally in music. I love music, but Linkin Park is like the music, just like the generational test is what's 30 years ago to you. I'm a millennial, so 30 years ago to me is always going to be the 70s for whatever reason. Obviously, that's not true. So when I was coming up in those formative years, that 10 to 18, Linkin Park was like it. Linkin Park, Story of the Year, Hawthorne Heights. Anyway, Linkin Park's my favorite band, man. Chester Bennington, one of the greats.
What did you think about his the replacement,
Emily?
Yeah.
So my thoughts on Emily Armstrong. I did not listen to Dead Sarah. I'm not going to become a Dead Sarah fan, which is the band that she fronted for her career. I listened to their big hit song. It's called Weatherman, and I thought it's whatever. She has a very decent voice. She has a very decent scream and all that kind of stuff. Her real moneymaker, she's an incredible songwriter. I can see that there's a palpable through line between Chester Bennington and Mike Shinoda's co-writing and her and now Mike's co-writing. So like that song, The Emptiness Machine, is hearing it upon first hearing it is a classic Linkin Park song. And it's also a candidate for a masterpiece, just like the Hybrid Theory songs are, because it has those elements of a masterpiece, whether it be visual art, sculpture, painting, or whether it be a symphony or a rap song. One of the common elements of masterpiece is it seems familiar upon first hearing or viewing. That movie that seems nostalgic, but it's the first time you're seeing it. That's one of the ingredients or one of the hallmarks of masterpiece. And when I was listening to The Emptiness Machine for the first time, I'm like, this feels like I'm in high school listening to a new drop from Linkin Park. So I think that she's going to be good for the band. I know a lot of people hate her. I know a lot of people say you should never try and replace this guy. I'm glad that Linkin Park lives on past one of its founders. I think that's one of the greatest things that you can do as tribute to someone is to continue their legacy. I'm not offended that they kept the name. I appreciate the homage to the band. Used to be called Zero with an X, and their new album is called From Zero. Anyway, I like her. I think she's going to be good for the band, good for the music scene. What is up, Chris? That is
what's up. I actually want to say, dude, good topic, man. I know. I do actually agree with you. It's weird. It's the same thing that happened with Static X, where now the new vocalist wears a robot mask that looks like the old lead singer, but they kept the name. It's good if it's a homage and on the sense of her being female. I mean, if she can slam the vocals, what's the issue? She's not Chester, so there's no need to try and duplicate him.
Yeah.
By the way, welcome, Michelle. Naya, I don't know. I can't ever pronounce her name. So welcome back, Michelle. Good to see you. Good to see all of the folks in the chat. Anson Knowles is now in the chat. I'm sure he wants to continue his debate with Chris that will never end. The never-ending debate of
He's
creation.
lost that debate.
Was it creation?
He cannot sufficiently prove evolution to me, so he will
forever be an L. Took the L on that one. Just take the L.
Yep.
Come back later. Okay.
But how's it going, gentlemen?
We're good, man. We're good. We kind of started out talking about random stuff, and we've just been random the whole time, and it's been great. Yeah. Actually, it actually is better than trying to. And I kind of started this out by saying that even though I commented on another podcast earlier, I don't really have an opinion about the Hezbollah eliminations,
exploding pagers.
I don't really have anything to say about it beyond it's war. All's fair in love and war. That's just the way it is.
That just looks like back in the day when we used to dare each other to hold on to the fireworks. See who's got the most balls. It just looks similar to little M80s.
It's a little more because they did actually put explosives in the pagers. So, but we talked about that. We've been talking a lot about economics and where we are in the U.S. As far as the schooling and men being able to be men, and we really kind of pulled away from politics to talk more about what I would normally talk about in the evening, which is totally fine. One of the things since we have since we have this new thing coming out with Newsom banning AI, right? Or some version of it that I don't actually understand. Yeah, I don't think anybody understands it yet. And I kind of caught the beginning of what Imperius was saying about it before I left CT, and I think that's very interesting. Of course, it will probably
you know what the problem is. Every time these monkeys get out of the cage, the jump goes to banning. But I think the factor that keeps being missed is proper regulation of these things, and then accessibility to things. So with an airplane, you need to write a test to climb in an airplane and mess with an airplane. Same thing with a drone. Shouldn't we have similar legislation when it applies to AI, especially if they're powerful? Well, I say people need to have a license to play with that shit. Don't just put it on Instagram for everybody to use or free to use.
My take on it is much the same as Imperius's take, is that it's the AI generated memes and videos that seem to be the problem. And I don't really understand why they're saying this, to be honest with you, because the AI stuff is not quite sophisticated enough yet to be easily discernible from reality. Like, it's easy to tell what is AI. So what they're saying,
it's a nanny state thing, dude.
Sorry?
It's a nanny state thing. These freaking morons they can't be trusted with adulthood. They can't be trusted to seeing Kamala Harris saying, my boss is incompetent and he is teaching me in the ways of incompetence. It's like, obviously this is a joke. Also, it's law that if it's paid for by a campaign, it's got to say paid for by the whatever campaign.
Right.
It's
I think that there's so many layers of this now. I think there's just so many layers of this now. First of all, yes, you're right. The campaign has to say this is paid for by X campaign. Now it's going to have to say this video has been generated by whatever AI, and then it'll have to say paid for by X campaign. And there's probably like 3 other warning labels. The warning labels are actually going to end up being longer than the content by the time we're done.
I think that Empirus is obviously very talented with all things legal. But I think that he jumped the gun on the scrutiny test. There've been 5 or 6 big cases. It's not Ways and Means. It's manner, means, and time, place, and manner.
Yes.
Analysis of speech and the freedom of that expression. I think that it's going to they're gonna have to attach it to manner. That's I forget which of the big 5 cases really the linchpin is manner of speech or manner of expression. I think it's going to get challenged in court, and I think it's going to end up before SCOTUS. I don't see the through line for them to establish inappropriate manner without umpteen number of disclosures and warnings and things. They really, SCOTUS has been really peckish about that, specifically for speech and visual speech through visual expression. I think it's not going to be held up. But he had shot it down immediately. He was like, no, this fits within the framework of the established cases. Granted, I could do some research on those cases because I could only think of 2 of the 6 major ones.
I think it's going to end up like when you buy a new DVD player, or not DVD player. What do we buy? What electronics do we buy? Like a new camera, a new laptop with the lithium battery. The actual instructions are like a couple of pages, maybe. The warnings are like 5 pages of, and they're mandated by law, and it's just a burden on society. And I think that you're right. The nanny state is out of control. We're getting to the point where it's just it's an absolute burden. So it's going to be bad. And on the other side of it, I think that it really opens up a lot of room for lawsuits to be filed against the government if they try and enforce some of these laws. So I think it's
the current regime has never cared about that because they can't be sued because they're out of the out. Like A.G. Garland does this crap all the time because he knows that when the lawsuits land at his, on his desk, it's going to be whoever the poor attorney general is at that time. Such a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
It's like fraud. It's like the government's perpetrating fraud on its citizens by paying out millions of taxpayer dollars. Like, it just makes me want to punch these guys in the face.
I really dislike Garland, man. Like, I can't. The fact that he still walks around free is an affront to the citizens of this country.
Now, I dislike him so much that I've sued him in his official capacity, and of course, it's gone up to our suit's gone up to SCOTUS and almost got kicked out, and it lives to fight another day. But it's not going to. I'm one of the saline parents in that suit. There's probably 12 of us. It's not going to. It's not going to impact Garland. And we were seeking injunctive relief. We're not seeking any money or anything. Hey, stop doing what you're doing and stop this practice within the Department of Injustice because it's unconstitutional. It's predatory against citizens. And maybe actually filing that is what saved me from being put on any type of no-fly list. But yeah, I got thrown on the edu official list immediately. Threats or perceived threats against school administrators and other faculty and staff. And I'm like, No, I said that you all were retarded. I said that you're criminally incompetent. Your negligence is criminal. That I wouldn't let you within 100 feet of my child, which my children are homeschooled, so you have no reason. I've never made any threats against I've never made any threats against anyone, to be honest, but especially not school officials or whatever. Or maybe your ideas are threatening. I have no idea.
But
maybe
nowadays, making threats towards someone, if you make threats towards someone, that is seen as a personal attack now. Or if you just call somebody out on their bullshit, it's seen as a personal attack. So that by proxy becomes a threat.
That's exactly what it is. Calling them out on their freaking
marshmallow
nonsense.
People. That's what the problem is.
Kevin tells us that it's that boomer meme about the owner's manual for my 59 Chevy told us how to adjust the valves. The owner's manual for my new car tells me not to ingest battery acid.
That's good.
It's accurate, actually. like
it's the nanny state, man. Not edible. If you didn't buy food, nothing of what you got is edible. When you buy furniture, when you buy a computer, when you buy a television, there's nothing in the packaging that's edible, but they have to write on it, please don't eat this. Like what kind of moron?
Exactly.
Hey, if we are going to truly
it's happened.
Science, but if we're truly believing in science and in evolution, then for these retards to off themselves through eating toxic things that come in packing materials, that's
I say if they want to eat the polystyrene, let them, bro.
It's survival of the fittest.
Yep. I firmly believe in that.
There's nothing more follow the science than let people who eat batteries die. Not talking about children. Children are supposed to be a safety hazard. That's all they are. The name of the game is keep them alive until they're 10 or so and they can start to have some agency.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly.
But still,
right.
kids' toys used to be way more dangerous than they are now as well. So.
Oh, I got a thing for that, but I'll get a copyright strike if I throw that up. But it talks about BB guns and the easy bake oven and all of that. It's just like we actually had like really cool. And now we do not.
Yeah, we spoke about it last time, Gred, and driving at like 12, like. Driving cars on farms at 12, it's like it's a bit ridiculous to me. If you're dumb enough to eat packaging peanuts,
it's just ridiculous. Yep,
it's just ridiculous. And there's no real way to get around it either. It's so bad right now that it's just terrible, man. It's just really terrible. And I see it a lot. Obviously, you see it as well, Joe, that, I see other parents are like, they'll look at me and they're like, are you nuts? And I'm like, yeah, maybe, I don't know. But my kid's going to learn how to fall down and not cry about it. My kid actually did fall down the other day. He was running and he tripped and he fell and he got right back up and he kept running. Do you know why? Because he's fallen down before, and I didn't go over and go, oh my gosh, you poor little thing, did your knees hurt? I was like, that was dumb.
That's amazing that he didn't just shatter into millions of pieces like a vase.
I'm just barely. I'm old enough to remember this. I'm a later millennial, but I'm still old enough that we drove around in my grandma's station wagon, just in the back, no seatbelt. We essentially in the trunk. We drove around in my other grandparents and their van, not a minivan, but just a proper van with the 2 bucket seats up front. There's a carpet in the back, and we were just a mobile living room. We were walking around up there, driving on the interstate, no seatbelts, no seats, no nothing. There was a spare tire back there. Like if we got into a car accident, everyone in the back would have immediately died. We were just free floating in the back of this van. That was normal, and we survived because we weren't. I don't want to say that word.
And sitting on the side of a pickup truck.
Yeah, but everyone's a wuss nowadays, dude.
Yeah, that's a real thing.
It's so stupid.
No, but the big problem about it is not teaching. It's bigger than getting hurt and falling down. It's about your depriving children the tools to deal with problems that occur, because you can't tell them, oh, don't fall off the car. Certain things need to be, in a sense, obvious, but it becomes obvious by giving them the tools to properly assess what's going on and then to react to what happens, because it's impossible to protect your kids and treat them like, you know, they're made out of glass. And it's also very arrogant, as if you have control over the world, which is just impossible.
It is very arrogant, actually. I've always thought that as well. I'd like to say that I have like real answers, but my answers are just the old answers. Like, I let my kids fall down. You know, I was out fishing one day. My wife calls me up. My son has been playing with his knife. It's his knife. He was doing something with his knife. He cut his hand. He was bleeding. He tried to hide it from her. But she found, you know, she obviously he's bleeding. So that's, you know, hard to hide. And she calls me freaking out. I had to you know, pull the boat out of the water, drive home. By the time I get home, my son's already got it all taken care of. He's a scout. He's a Boy Scout. He knows what to do. So he's already got it done. And I'm like, why did I need to come home again? And then, of course, I had to talk to him about not cutting himself. But I'm like, he's going to cut himself.
You're hitting on something else, though. Women respond a little bit differently. We had this battle go on in my home, and I'll seek retroactive permission to share this story. But actually, ultimately, I get to decide anyway. We had this revolving door of issue with my son taking his own allergy medicine. One, very difficult to overdose on allergy medicine, whether it's pills or liquid. Very often, I don't know if people know this, if you have severe allergies, they actually tell you to double or triple or quadruple your dose. So I've been there, got the t-shirt. Anyway, his is liquid form. So it's 10 milliliters. I think the little cup goes all the way up to 30. So we're not talking about hardcore drug capabilities, even if you fill the cup up to the brim, that little plastic thing. Anyway, I keep telling him, hey, you're having allergy issues. Go get your medicine. Go take it. We give the other kids their medicine. You go take it yourself. Goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then finally, my wife says, like, I don't want him giving himself allergy medicine because it's dangerous. And I said, you realize our son has an AR-15, right?
Right.
You realize he carries a 4-inch D2 steel blade with him everywhere, and you're worried about. I was like, I'm showing him how to use tourniquets and things. If something goes wrong with this knife or this rifle, it goes way wrong. But the allergy medicine, it's like, and then she got it. She's like, okay, you're right, which that's how that goes. But yeah, trust your kids to do some not adult things, but help them explore boundaries and do things beyond what they think that they're capable of, so that they can start to become. You're not raising kids, you're raising adults. You have kids, you're raising adults. This
Well,
is the same argument with the soul. You have a body, you are a soul. So stop trying to fill this thing. Stop raising kids. You're raising adults.
Right. And that's actually, you know, something I've mentioned before. I don't know if you've heard this, but so my son grew dramatically over the past year and a half. He's 14, but he's 180 pounds and right at 6 foot. So I've told him that he has to act like a man. It's not fair. It's not fair that his other kids, I mean, the other kids in his class are all smaller than him, so they get to still act like kids. But when people look at him, they don't see a boy. They see a man. And he has to act like a man. He has to comport himself as a man, because if he gets mad and throws a fit, people are going to treat him like a man, right? And it's not fair. And it's okay that it's not fair. And my wife got a little bit upset with me because, you know, obviously she thinks that he should enjoy his youth and all. Like, he's had 14 years of that nonsense. It's time to step up and be a man and do manly things, right? Like, this is it was just, we're going to put away the Legos, we're going to put away all that stuff, and now, you know, he needs to be a man. And I think that it's important for men to, you know, for people to realize that just because your kid is 12, 13, 14 years old, it doesn't mean that they're not capable of great violence and great harm to themselves and others. And it's people like that that treat a 6 foot tall, 180-pound dude as a kid. That is why these kids go out and do stupid things, because they're still mentally, they're being treated and taught like they're 10, 11, 12 years old, and they're not, they're just not, we had a whole discussion yesterday about,
parenting.
What's that?
It's the snowplow parenting of removing every obstacle, every hardship, and every consequence away from the child. So stupid, so dangerous.
And it actually harms them.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah. Yeah. My, and I think that most parents should, obviously this is situational, right? If my son was, if he wasn't 6 feet tall, if he was 4.5 feet tall and weighed 120 pounds, we're not going to treat him like a man at 14. We're going to treat him like a boy, because he's still he's still technically a boy. But at his current size, if he hits somebody, and he's strong too, if he hits somebody, he's going to hurt him. And I told him, like, you've got to think like this. Like, I know you don't really want to think like this, but this is exactly how you have to think. And so,
Grid, you're depriving him of being man-sized and being able to beat the shit out of children. What are you doing?
Yeah, we don't let him. Yeah. It's pretty funny that we talk about it that way, but it's a real thing, and I think that's why. I wouldn't say that he's like super well adjusted, because I think no kids are what we would consider well adjusted, but he's comfortable with where he's at, in life right now.
Yeah.
And he kind of has to be. He doesn't really have a choice. That's the other thing I tell him. Like, you have no choice in this. You grew up. Sorry. What? I know you want to still be the 12-year-old you were 2 years ago, but you aren't. And so it's
we all have different burdens to bear. His is now just that he's going to enjoy that 6 foot later on. So it might be a burden on him now, but it'll come in advance or advantage later. Yeah, right.
True.
He has the advantage, obviously, of, things that other people may not have, but, he has an AR in his room. He has a 12-gauge shotgun in his room. Right? Like, he's got he has a collection of knives. He has
my shotgun game up.
Huh?
I need to step up my shotgun game. I've not settled on a tactical shotgun, not a hunting shotgun.
13
tactical.
Beretta 1301. You'll thank me later. But he has full access to the gun cabinets, but he has, I the other day I came in, Joe, you're gonna find this hilarious. I came in and my son had my what I consider my low vis body armor that I keep in the truck as it's my just in case stuff.
Just in case.
Yeah, just in case. So he's got my low vis armor on, and he's put a plaque. He's put a placard on it that's 3 magazine placard. He's got the magazines on. He's got the body armor on. He's got he's gunned up pretty good, and he's just LARPing around the garage. I thought it was the most hilarious thing I'd ever seen. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm LARPing. I'm like, you're good. Whatever.
He's honest.
He's honest about it. He's like, I'm just LARPing around. He's like, it's cool stuff. And I'm like, I know it is cool stuff. At least you're.
But see how giving him the appropriate tools to deal with things like firearms kind of gives you the comfort to not have to worry about these things that are infested in the helicopter parent's mind of constantly having to monitor him. You gave him the tools. You trust him now to have discernment over what is appropriate and what is not.
Yeah. Well, I started teaching him at 4 about firearms. and I had a gun room in the last 2 houses we've had. I had a gun room, and I didn't lock the door or anything because what's the point? And I remember when he was about 5 or 6, he had to have been about 5, probably somewhere between 5 and 6, maybe late 5. I remember my parents-in-law were always against him having access to that room, and they thought I should lock the door. I'm like, well, all that locking the door is going to teach him is how to break into the room.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's how.
Or give him incentive to get in there.
Yeah, it gives him incentive to break into the room. He knows that if he goes into that room and I'm not there, he's in big trouble, like huge. And I remember, and so one day they tried for about a half an hour to convince him to go into the gun room without me there. And he wouldn't do it. He's like, no, not without dad here. We don't go in there without dad here.
I'll read between the lines for you guys. That means that Grid spanks his children. Yeah, it's just like, look, I don't care who you are. I don't care under what authority you're speaking. Dad said not to do it. So until he comes, you get him on FaceTime or something, and he tells me I can go in here. If not, you're on your own.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You see, I'm going to be controversial on that because I got my ass beat all the time. I got my ass beat in school. So our like whole system is a little bit different. And here, everybody, black, white, everybody beats their children. It's kind of just a thing that's always happened.
Not here anymore. Not admitted. You can't admit to it. But the thing is, though, is that I found that it was more the implied threat than the action itself. And that was enough because he knew that he was going to be in trouble. And the thing is, I do believe there's different ways to do it. I don't think you don't have to beat your children. I'm not saying that, but I can say that having been beat all the time, it's not that bad. Most of the time in winter, especially at school, you get a nice shot in the morning and the bum's nice and warm to get on the chair and start your day, you know. There you go. Well, I mean, I think there's a balance there, especially with American kids because of all of the trope that they're fed. For me, it's kind of more the threat than the actual act. And it's not necessarily the fear of that. It's the reality of that. That's what's going to happen. Right. It's like, the same thing that most people mistake actual fear and understanding that, hey, this is what's going to happen. Actual fear. And it's an uncertainty that may or may not happen. And maybe I can get away with it, whatever. But the certainty that if I do this, I'm going to be disciplined. Now that discipline may take many forms. I may get all of my toys may disappear. All of my, I may not be able to eat all of the cool snacks that I get to eat all week. I may get broccoli, right? Or whatever it is.
You might get knocked up, or you might have to become a dad and marry a young lady that you weren't planning to.
You don't know what the consequences of those actions are. You don't know what the consequences of those actions are, but you know that whatever those consequences are, you don't want them. And that's what I've tried to instill in my son and my youngest son. That's what I'll instill in him as well. So the other day, my son and I came home. I didn't notice that the motorcycle that I bought him was not by the gate, and he didn't either. And so I come out, I'm doing some work around the house. I notice it's gone. I'm like, hey, who moved the motorcycle? My son asked my mother-in-law, and she hadn't moved it. She didn't know anything about it. So I called the cops. Stolen bike, right? when the cop got there, my son comes running out of the house panicked because all of a sudden my father-in-law has finally, woken up and remembered that, oh yeah, I put it in the lean-to. I moved it without telling anybody. And so now my son's freaking out about it because in his mind, the consequence of lying to a police officer, filing a false report is massive, right? And so he literally dashed out of the house to tell me that. He went back and checked to make sure that the bike was there. And of course, I told the officer, I'm like, hey, man, I'm sorry I wasted your time. This is what happens when people mess around with my stuff that don't actually live in my house, right? So this is a problem. But but at the end of it, my son was really nervous and concerned about, because he knows it's wrong to lie to the cops and file a false police report or whatever. He was like really concerned about it. And I'm like, dude, it's fine. It's no big deal. It's okay. But it's that kind of thing because he doesn't know what that consequence is. It's not a fear per se, but he understands that there is a consequence for such things. And I think that that's what people lack in society, at least in this country. I don't know about in South Africa where you're from, Chris, but here in this country, people are so far removed from the consequences of their actions that most of the time they have no idea about it. They're shocked. They're absolutely shocked. What do you mean I'm going to go to jail for hitting somebody with my car? What do you mean? Why would that happen? What?
And that's the thing, Greg. That's the most important, is like teaching consequences. I think the fatal flaw with a lot of people is they do not understand consequences, or even just the consequences of their own actions. They might understand certain consequences, but they definitely most of the time fail with understanding what you do carries implicit consequences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think the better you relay that, the better the ultimate outcome is going to be. Because am I going to do this stupid thing because this or that it might happen? And then you end up doing the pros and cons for a lot of things, which I think is the best way to approach it. Especially how I usually describe it is I do like extreme sports or skating. So I'm not going to do certain things on a skateboard that I know this is the consequence and this is the benefit I'm gaining out of this. I always do that calculation. It's how I say you can do dangerous shit if you do it in a smart way. If you want to drive a car fast, go do it on a track in a safe environment. If you want to beat the shit out of people, join a gym where you can safely beat the shit out of people. There's smart ways in which you can still do dangerous things, but you have to weigh, it's always pros and cons.
I like that. Joe, you were saying?
Oh, I was saying that alarm is telling me it's time for me to go.
Right. Yeah. Thing. You know what? I forgot you're not on my time. You did tell me 2:45. Everyone in the chat, Joe has to dive off. He's got to go places, do great things. Joe, send me the link for this evening and I'll join you guys.
Yep, we'll do. Yep. I have no
Joe,
idea what we're going to be talking about, but likewise.
Okay.
And that is a very respectable stash. The beard's
I know,
great
right?
too,
Look
but
at
the
that.
stash is
he had a little bit more beard. I think he's trimmed the beard up a little bit. So, but the stash
always
is
shave.
Yeah, the stash is amazing. So,
well, chat, it's been real. Grid, Chris, I'll catch you guys in the next one.
Yep, we'll see you soon, Joe.
Keep well. Bye. Joe.
All right. Joe. What else do we have going on here? I saw Glenn was in the chat.
Screwed with all of the Johns.
Let me just scroll through chat here for a minute because I haven't actually been paying attention to chat. Men do dangerous shit. Smart men do dangerous shit safely. Yeah, kind of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can always do fun stuff if you do it in the safest possible way. Or if you want to do dangerous stuff, figure out how to do it in the safest possible way.
Yeah. Here's Michelle. Michelle's talking. Clover tack. I missed a lot of that stuff. I had a teacher who's quick with a wooden yardstick. All right.
Yeah, high school. We were basically a boys' high school and a technical high school. So the wood shop teacher would beat you with wood. The mechanical engineering teacher would beat our asses with a fan belt. So
Ooh.
each guy had his weapon. Yeah, the fan
Yeah.
belt with the duct tape around it. Damn, that wobbly bastard would light you up.
That does not sound like a good time. I thought I saw
Nah.
Glenn. I thought I saw Glenn Lawrence pop in, but maybe I didn't. I thought I did. It's actually really hard to pay attention to chat when when we're rolling up here. It's really good.
I want to say to Damien, see him with the parkour. Parkour is super important. I'm lucky I did skating, man. The best thing that teaches you is when you go down at high speeds, you don't get hurt. I was amazed when I jumped on a board and went into the streets and went down at like, well, you guys won't know. I'm going to have to now do the equations because you don't do metric. So like 20 miles an hour on a skateboard, went down with no gear on. Yeah, it's about 20 miles an hour. I was fine. I couldn't believe it. And it's just because you learn how to fall, how to keep moving. And obviously parkour that Damien teaches is great for that. How to jump off of high stuff and not hurt yourself. And that goes with everything, whether you get into a car accident or a fight or anything. That's good skills to have. Learn how to fall.
Yeah, and safety equipment is your friend, even though we all hate safety equipment. But it is.
Nah, safety equipment's for pussies. You don't wear no helmet.
Don't you Africans fist fight lions? No. Lions eat Africans. It's what's for dinner.
Don't do. Where I come from, there's a lot of lion farms, man. A lot of people own lions. Lions are cool.
A lot of people raise lions.
Yeah, because Grid, remember like our farms and stuff. So you'll here we have a lot of different ones. So you'll get farms, but here guys have wildlife farms, which it's just insane. I can't even do the calculations in
Do
how
they
big
sell
these
them, or what? How does
pieces
that
of
work?
land are. Yeah, but they have everything on there. They have crocodiles, they have elephants, they have lions, they have cheetahs, they literally have everything in one farm. And it's basically there's big ass gates, and when you go through there, it's Jurassic Park. You know, it's like you have to have your wits
like
about
a game
you.
Park. You go in. Now, is
Yeah,
it
it's
for
a game
hunting,
farm.
or is it for hunting?
Yeah,
or?
for hunting
Okay.
or just to have.
We have some of
And
those
obviously
here.
you balance out the whole ecosystem, you know, so you'll have your antelopes, and then that you match that with your lions and all of that, and then you'll hunt to control what's going on. But massive swaths of land, insanely big, massive swaths of land, but essentially a huge reserve, but that's walled off. Electric fencing.
What did you think of the
wall.
discussion last night, Chris?
Which one?
The one on here last night. Sorry.
Oh, the discussion on here last night about the anarchy.
Yeah, the Christian anarchists versus the and how and really I didn't really intend to get much into that. We were mostly talking about how in my viewpoint, and it's a very simplified viewpoint. You have basically three approaches to marriage, and one is religious, and the second is degenerate, and then that's basically like people who are kind of try to be religious but really aren't, or they just they get married as a secular marriage, but they're relatively degenerate. And then you have the hedonist who don't believe in anything, don't believe in marriage, don't just do whatever they want, depending on the day and time. And it was a really great conversation. I was hoping actually you'd heard a lot of it, but
see. The thing is, I'm not for the whole anarchy, but John makes some valid points, and there are some things like I do believe a lot more should be allowed than what is allowed, because I think if you have strong men in a society, you don't need to ban everything, because society and proper morals will just kind of instill good values. So essentially, if you had a good enough society with proper morals, all drugs could be legal because most people would just go, no, I'm not going to ruin my life by doing that. If that makes sense. So I think restrictions are necessary when things start breaking down. So in that way, I can kind of understand some of John's points, but it's difficult to get around there having to be an authority. And then obviously, if you take it to a metaphysical sense, God being your ultimate authority for self-accountability.
Right. and I've of course maintained that I see no reason why secularists should get married at all.
Yeah. No, there is no point.
Sign a contract just as easily, because that's all it
I have
really
some
is.
counter arguments to that actually that I've been working at, because I know Andrew likes to ask that. So I've been I have some arguments for that, but generally I don't believe they should.
Well, I was waiting for the counter.
But like, I'll give you one.
Yeah, give me one.
If I wanted 2 passports, there would be a good reason to do it. If I wanted a passport to another country and this lady wanted a passport to my country, there's a very valid reason for secularists to get married. Double passport. There you go. There's one. So there are a couple, but
right.
Yeah.
So I disagree. So let me refine my statement just so you understand my actual position on it. I don't see any reason for them to get married when they can just as easily just draft a contract, a passport, if you will, and say that, we're entering into a union. This is the expectations. These are the penalties, just like anything else. Just like any other contract, just like if I were going to contract with someone to build a sunroom on my house or anything like that. I think that's as far as the secularists can really go, because the marriage in and of itself should be bound in religion of some sort. So
yeah, no, I mean, like you said, a civil union. Yeah, if we're defining it as, marriage being marriage, and then the opposite being the civil union. Yeah, for marriage, then no, you cannot justify it. If we're taking it from the religious point of view, yeah, no, nobody it would be self-defeating on its face then.
Yeah, I think that's how that adds up, right? Like I would like to I like to give secularists the benefit of the doubt, but it's hard to, because it's a case of wanting of eating my cake and having it too, right? Where I have, on the one hand, I have marriage, which is a religious institution. It's a covenant between 2 people and God. I mean, it is really a 3-way covenant, even though we often look at it as a 2-way covenant. And there are consequences to breaking it beyond just physical. Whereas with secularists, I often feel like that what they're really doing is they're just entering into a contract, and that's it. And then they see it as simple as breaking a contract. They don't really have that investment, if you will, into it that you would in a religious context. And I think that this is why, in my opinion, so many secularists have an issue with the religious part of marriage to start with, is because they ignore or disagree with the commitment that they're asked to make under God. So, and to be honest with you, I don't believe that you can have I do not believe that marriage can exist under the state. I believe marriage is before a God of, I'm not going to get into a religious battle. I believe that marriage is before God, whichever one you choose, and not in front of the state. So I don't believe that. I mean, state can define something as marriage, but that doesn't make it marriage. Does that?
It's got to be under something you actually respect. If it's the government or a contract, it's like a gym membership. You don't give a shit.
Right. Yeah, it is a gym. It's exactly a gym member. It's closer to buying a house. right? It's very
Yeah.
much like buying a house, you know. So, but anyway,
And
that's
that
just.
also it takes the
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
oh yeah, it takes the purpose out of it. I mean, it's the same thing with a house. Then you're commodifying something which should be kind of a higher purpose type of relationship situation,
Mhm.
but now you're commodifying it to a contract, or like you said, equating it to a house. It's just this thing.
Anson Knowles, $2 American. No Mo 304 Mo. Mo. Okay. I got it. Cool. Guys, we have now entered the last hour where I do callers and have people up. So if you guys want to come up, I actually don't know that I have a mod in right now. I think all my mods are sleeping. I think they all stayed up last night with
I think
Glenn.
I saw Frito earlier.
I don't think he's a mod. So,
Uh,
but if you guys want to, if you want to come in and if you want to come up, you're welcome to DM me or go over to the Discord, and I will keep an eye on it and do the honors. I will make stuff happen. So
I thought you were close to the end of your stream, so that's why you let me jump on earlier, Grid.
well, I didn't want to make a big deal of it. It's okay. It's fine. And I like your mustache. So
I'm getting
stash
tired
like,
of this
the stash is one of those
privilege.
things. It's a door opener, man. It's a door opener. So
don't give it
but,
power. You guys keep giving it power and making it difficult for me. I've wanted to murder it.
You wanted to murder?
It's
Yeah, no, we got it. We got to empower the stash, man. The stash has energy. Stash has energy, man. Clover Tack, I see out there. Viking Paradigm.
But once you get some,
go ahead.
Once you get some guys up on you, I might jump off Grid because I'm making some food.
Well, I can also I can always monologue for the next little bit. $5 from Anson Knowles. WMD wants to get married to a dog. Is that approved by the Church of Transhumanism? I don't know because I've never heard of that. So,
WMD, the AI, wants to marry a dog?
Yeah, I think Anson wants to. I don't know. Anson was WMD last night. Did you not see that? Anson was up on the stage as WMD. It was very funny. Stop eating the cats.
What a nice burn, Grid. Yo, that's a hard burn. He just self-burned himself.
Stop eating the cats. All right. All right, guys. I'm watching.
Dude, actually, I want
an eye on the Discord. So,
what's funny is I don't want to get into trouble for this, but what's weird when I heard all of this stuff about the cats. I don't know who it is, and even if I did, I wouldn't name anybody. But I do believe there are some tribes this side that also believe in they do eat the cats. I think it is some cultural thing or just something that's fine, because apparently what I've heard is they mostly see cats as evil and they're not of use as a dog. A dog is of use and the cats aren't. So yeah, it does happen here. So when I heard it happening there, I'm like, I
don't know that I've ever heard of anyone eating cats. I'm sure it happens.
No, it does. I promise you, it does.
At the beginning of the movie, The Book of Eli, he shoots a house cat with a bow and arrow and cooks it up. So, and renders the fat.
Yeah, but Asians also eat cats. It's something that does happen quite a lot across the world. It's not tied to any race, but it is something that seems to be. It's way more acceptable, it seems, to eat cats than it is to eat dogs across the planet.
I do not need details. Thank you, Pan Chuchin. So, yep. All right, guys. Well, we're in the last hour, so if I don't have anybody over on my Discord asking to come in. Clover Tack, you should be up here, pal. You should be up here. Tried eating bobcat once. It wasn't good. Yes, I can't. I just don't. I think just from a meat perspective, I just don't think it would be very good. But whatever.
I don't generally prefer eating predators. I don't know. I'm not a big fan unless it's fish.
There's a thing to that. I think that's actually a real thing.
But I give the exception to fish because predator fish are good.
Well, fish in general. I don't eat fish though. I don't know if you guys probably don't know that about me. I don't eat fish very often. It's the easiest food to get food poisoning from, and I choose not to. I choose not to do that. So, but in the water, usually any predator in the water seems fine for me. Even crocodile, the crocodile is quite good. But any land predator, I'm not particularly a fan. Yeah. I can't say that I'm trying to think if I've ever eaten a predator, and I've had snake, had rattlesnake.
Yeah, I've also had snake, crocodile, and then I think I've had lion. I'm not sure. I think I've had like a long time ago,
but I've had snake. I've had I think that's probably. Well, I mean, I don't think there's anything else that I've really like tried that's weird. I mean, obviously, squirrel.
But squirrels aren't like
groundhog. I have a groundhog.
But are they carnivorous?
No.
They're
not usually.
They're more omnivores.
Yeah, they're omnivores. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, when I say predator, I mean like almost strictly carnivorous animals.
Sure.
That's why I think there's a bit of an exception because I've heard that bear is really good that side. We don't have bears here.
Bear is very good, but they're omnivores. They're not carnivores.
That's you see. So they're also not strictly carnivore, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard like the best ones are just chill in like a berry bush and chow berries because I've heard like if they do predominant fishing or catching fish out of the rivers, they're quite nasty.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've had crocodile. I've had rattlesnake. Had a couple other odds and ends, but yeah, can't say that I've ever been into the carnivores really. Wild hogs, which are omnivores, I guess.
Yeah, they're omnivores.
So,
yeah.
Your volume's very low, Clover Tack.
Could just be me. Not been saying anything.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
there you go. How you doing today, man? How's the health?
Speaking quietly. So far it's a good day. We'll just
good. That's excellent. I saw you had an interview earlier. I wasn't able to watch it because I've been running my mouth all morning.
Yeah, I had a podcast this morning.
Yeah.
Yep. Unfortunately, I don't like the early ones like that.
The what ones?
I said I don't like the early ones like that.
Oh yeah.
But that was actually the title sponsor for this season. So.
Oh yeah,
I didn't have much choice.
Yeah, no zero room for error, I guess.
Right. Like make them happy. Whatever they need.
Yeah. What so what have you thought about did you catch last night's show at all?
A little bit. I was back and forth between here and Glenn. Or yours and Glenn's.
Yeah, it was weird that Glenn did the evening show. I'm sure it was Kat. Kat just scheduled it without really thinking about it, but it was all right. It was fine.
Yeah. When that happens, I mean, I used to be, well, I mean, it's still an issue now with everybody I know, but that used to be a thing once upon a time. I can remember, 6 years ago, it was, oh man, that was probably 20 or 30, creators at that time that were all kind of in a group, and everybody was so worried about the schedule and when are you going to do your thing, and I'm going to do my thing, and everybody was so worried about it. And of course, years have went by and we've all kind of gotten scattered, and at the end of the day, it really doesn't fucking matter. Having the only bad thing about overlapping is, if somebody wants to come on, like if I had a podcast, obviously I wouldn't be able to jump in, right, or whatever. So that's to me, that's the only, other than that, it doesn't make me two shits one way or the other. If somebody is doing one the same time as me, that just gives people out there options as to what to watch.
Yeah, I don't I don't think it really bothers me that much, to be honest with you. I just thought it was odd. I think a lot of things are odd though, so that's not like a determining factor. So yeah. Pretty interesting stuff. What are you doing? What's on your schedule for the day?
Down my kitchen.
I'm sorry?
I almost burned down my kitchen. I had to quickly jump up.
Try not to do that. Try not to do that.
Yeah, right.
Bad.
That ain't good.
I already set the house on fire today with epoxy, man. A big fail. I had like my whole house full of chemical fumes.
Did you
had like
did it go thermogenic?
No, what happened was I'm really good with this stuff. It's kind of what I do, but I had my ex is busy with a damn epoxy chessboard in my workshop, so I allowed her in, and she wanted that shit set. So I said, put it in the oven. She put it on a board that wasn't big enough, so the edges drooped down. It dripped onto the element of the oven, and started smoking. So I'm like, damn it! Now I'm grabbing her, pushing her into one room, got a respirator on, grabbed the cat, busy airing out the house. I'm like, you guys are gonna kill all of us.
Yeah,
so it wasn't my fault.
No kidding. So I actually I had a cup of epoxy once, and it actually caught fire because it went exothermic. And
that was probably normal styrene resin, like what you would use on cars, normal fiberglass.
Yeah, it's polystyrene,
yeah.
Or polyester resin,
polyester.
But I've had the MGL epoxy that I use for my airplanes. I've had it kick off too, and it didn't actually catch on fire. The polyester resin actually literally caught on fire.
I think if you catalyze, it's like a peroxy hybrid catalyst, which is especially the old one that was used. If you do that at like 150 to 200% over the prescribed amount, the exothermic builds up so much that it ignites and starts a fire, which is quite a sight to be seen.
Yeah, I think it just I had too much epoxy in the cup, and it was sat too long, and it went exothermic. And when it went exothermic, you could actually see the flashes of where it was sparking in the cup, and then it just happened to catch the cup on fire. And if I hadn't been standing there, I don't think it would have caught the whole shop on fire, but it definitely would have made a huge mess.
It starts smoking first usually, but it's about the thickness of it. All of them have like a appropriate thickness at which they can operate, and as soon as you exceed the mass volume, that's generally what would start doing the excessive exothermic heat reaction that occurs, and then you just have trouble.
I keep so I have a hot box. It's actually right on the other side of this wall. I have a hot box where I keep my epoxy in. It keeps it at 98 degrees all year. And then and actually I've heard that MGS has now suggested that we raise that to like 103, 104 degrees. The problem is that about right around 100 something, right around 100 degrees, the plastic for the containers gets soft. So kind of a wash, but I mix all my epoxy hot. So
that's interesting. Just to accelerate the curing time, or what?
No, viscosity. Just to thin it out, just so it penetrates.
Oh, okay.
The bid much more. So it's easier to work with.
Yeah, it lowers the viscosity. Yeah.
Yeah. It just makes it like water. You're just pouring that stuff out. It makes it easier to
Yeah.
mix. You get a more thorough mix. It's just,
Did you guys
know.
did you do the application for on the vehicles?
yeah, this is for my
Or what
airplane. This
was-
is the epoxy for my
Oh
airplane.
yes, for the airplane. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Same as yachts. I've also done all three. You know.
Yeah.
You end up same pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if they have MGS is a German epoxy. It used to be Shell, DP, whatever, but it was sold to a company and they've renamed it MGS. It's the same epoxy that the Cirrus airplane company uses, and so does Diamond. Diamond uses MGS as well. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I prefer running with Smooth On's product just because the company's existed for over 100 years, and for me, I prefer people that have tested their products over multiple decades. So I just usually opt for their stuff just because of that.
Yeah. I only look at properties. I only look at like whatever the property, like I need X amount of strength. I need X amount of cure time. I need X amount of, and post cure. I don't like high post. And I had so I just look at all of the requirements, because there's with the airplane stuff, we're operating in such a narrow band, right? Like we have to have X amount of strength for weight. We can't, we're not like, most of my airplane is 2 layers or 3 layers of bid cloth, bidirectional cloth, and epoxy over foam. That's the whole airplane.
You need to switch those to like an aramid weave and a carbon fiber grid if you want to upgrade.
The carbon, they've done carbon fiber. The carbon fiber is too stiff. It'll beat you up and it'll break.
Oh, okay.
So that,
you wanting more.
It's engineered
flexural
into
strength.
it's engineered into the airframe that there's so much give in the wings, so that when you're in turbulent air, the wings will actually flex and you don't get beat up as bad. I'm like,
that's true. You do get more
on this
flexural out of than you would with the epoxy and the carbon fiber.
Now I do have carbon fiber in some areas. I've updated the plans to where my canopy has a layer of carbon on it, or 2 layers of carbon on it, because when it's just fiberglass at high speeds, you get up to about 220 miles an hour. It can lift, it can cause the edges of the canopy to lift away, and so you'll get air leakage. And so I've got carbon there, and I've added. You have to be very careful with carbon in airplanes because it blocks radio signals.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
The carbon
that makes
fiber
sense.
blocks the signals. Chris Anson Knowles says you need new beard oil.
Send me money, Anson. Send me money then. If you want me to purchase beard oil.
It's too busy.
I would be like, send to my Cash App, but I don't even have that Cash App crap or any way to do any of that. So I'm like, Anson, send me money though. Figure out how to do it.
So Clover Tack, man, I'm sorry to bore you with all of this high tech.
How did it bore me?
Composite talk.
Okay.
Hey man, carbon fiber is cool for gun stocks.
It is actually.
Yeah. And barrels,
and holsters, and barrels.
Yeah.
And pretty much everything. Carbon fiber is just cool, man. It has some really interesting things when you get to, depending on how you're working with it, but it's good. It's cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
good.
Yeah. So where shall we? Oh, just like a quick take. What do you think about the Hezbollah eliminations carried out via
I haven't got into it very deep, but there's, from what I was seeing, there is some apparently some China ties in there somewhere.
No. Mm-mm.
No,
Mm-mm.
really.
So
Okay.
they were the pagers themselves were manufactured in Taiwan, but the Israelis apparently intercepted the pagers somewhere en route, added a small amount of explosive material,
Uh-huh.
a couple of chips, and changed I think to a lithium battery that they could control the
That's
heat
pretty
on.
James Bond shit right there, though.
Yeah, they changed it to a lithium battery that they knew that by using the triggering it with a radio signal or digital activation, they were able to cause that battery to overheat, and that became the detonator to detonate the explosives, the explosive charge inside of it.
Right.
So it is actually some pretty James Bond shit.
That's
and
pretty
so,
sneaky, dude. I have to give I generally give props where props are due, even if like it's a shitty move. I'm like, that was bad, but that was well done. That was pretty fucking sneaky.
yeah, right. It is. It's not just sneaky. It's very well thought out, and it was very targeted because the
Yeah,
people that are buying this lot of 3,000 pagers, they're encrypted digital pagers. They use these because they can't be tracked like cell phones. They got away from cell phones.
yeah.
So they so what they did, so what they're really doing is they knew who was using them. And so if you have one of those, chances are either you or someone directly related to you is a member of the terrorist organization Hezbollah. And therefore,
You see, that's the fail on their side, because it's like you encounter a shipment of pages and there's like, the fuck still uses pages? So then it kind of leads to, okay, there's something going on here.
So
so actually out in the desert, I think that, in that area, I think cell phone signal is still very rudimentary. And so I think they do use radio signal pagers because of the remoteness.
But don't they use sat phones though?
They do have sat. Well, see, all
Usually
that stuff
if you're in
tracked.
shitty areas like that, or hunting, you'll have sat phones, right?
Yeah. But they're talking about just normal people would have a pager because, in theory, if you were, I don't know what you would do if you were in Beirut, Lebanon, but maybe you're a delivery truck driver, right? And you have a cell phone, but you can't count on it 100% of the time. So you have a pager as well, so that if you're out of cell phone range or signal, then you get your message. And
Okay.
and that's the argument, that this is why it wasn't as directed as they thought it was. However, these were very specific pagers going to a very specific distributor and destination. And so I think that it was about as targeted as anything can be in a war. Right. And we have to understand
It's crazy that they have that level of intel in some, like, that's a ridiculous amount of proper intel in one area, and then in other areas the intel is just trash, which is pretty weird.
Yeah, and Silvar Ogre is correct here. The second round after the pagers were the radios and sat phones. Again, these were very specific types that are associated with known terrorists. I get $5 from Anson Knowles. That's $5 American. Car racing isn't a real sport. It's like water polo or curling. Actually, auto racing, mountain climbing, and bullfighting are the only true sports. Everything else is just a game, because you can't die doing it. But you can die.
Fighting, martial arts, you can at least.
Yeah, you used to.
And boxing.
Boxing. I don't know. When was the last time somebody died boxing, though?
It was a while ago, but I mean, it does happen.
Yeah. They have people die every year in racing, unfortunately. The reality is that it's even worse. Clover seems a little distracted today, and I don't want to take up too much of his very
I
valuable
seem
time.
distracted. How's that?
Well, you're not saying much.
What do you want me to jump in inside? You want me to talk about shit I don't know? What I don't know.
Okay, all right.
That's
All
why
right,
I
all right,
asked.
bro.
So they intercepted these pagers.
Yes, and they
3,000
think that
of
they
them,
did that on a ship.
and then they retrofitted them on the fly and then finished the delivery.
Yes.
Holy
Yes,
fuck.
apparently the working theory that
That's
is
what's
being
amazing.
disseminated, it is James Bond shit. The working theory that is being disseminated right now is that these items were made in Taiwan from a very specific manufacturer. They were put on a boat. The boat was intercepted somewhere in transit by Mossad, and probably at a port. I don't think that they would do it on the high seas, but I think that probably at a port somewhere, those items were probably put into customs or into holding before being transshipped, and pretty sure it was Mossad got in there. They fixed 3,000 of them. Like they must have had an assembly line going.
Yeah, so that's what's amazing to me is that they could do
Yeah, to do that in transport.
3,000 of them like that in transport. It's like, wow. Because, I mean, they're jacking with explosives and, like, it's sensitive shit to be doing it on a boat in the ocean, rocking around,
You
whatever.
need time and a crew of people to do that.
Right. Yeah. It was some gone in 60 seconds kind of shit. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so then they repacked everything, allowed it to be delivered. Once it was delivered, they knew where and the thing is that they knew where these were all going. Like they understood where they were all going, and they were able to track where they were. And the interesting thing is that they were detonated at a very specific time, and they were all detonated at the same time. And that has to have some significance. I'm not really sure what that is. I don't know.
What was it, like an hour apart, all of them? Like the total time it happened was like an hour duration.
Yeah, but they did all of the pagers, and then they waited, and they did all of the radios, and then they did all of the phones. Another $5 comes in from Anson Knowles. Soviet Yugoslavia produced vehicles better than any American muscle car. Now, see, he's wanting me to say that
he's
that's
trolling
false.
now.
He's trolling. However, not quite Yugoslavia, but the air-cooled Tatra V8 was an amazing machine. If you're not familiar with them, I suggest you look them up. Air-cooled V8. I don't know if they're Yugoslavian, though. They're some kind of Slavian. I'm just not really sure which. But yeah,
I'm just glad that Anson's debate skills are better than his trolling skills. That's all I got to say.
Ooh,
there's some weak trolling, Anson. I expected better. I expected better.
Expected better from a fellow who could
a lot of low hanging fruit there, buddy. A lot of
it. You would have had a better shot saying German.
Tatra.
Tatra.
Yeah, Tatra. Tatra. V8. They made a lot of air-cooled engines in various displacements. As a matter of fact, Tatra made an air-cooled twin turbo V12 diesel.
Whoa, that's crazy.
That's crazy, badass. Right? Yeah. Actually, there was the museum had one in a six-wheel drive, I think, or 8-wheel drive. I think it was 6-wheel drive. Rollback wrecker. And I wanted it so bad, but I didn't realize they put it up for sale. I think they sold it. But it was V12 twin turbo diesel. And I believe it was a 2-stroke diesel at that. Air cooled. No radiators, no nothing. Just straight up air cooled diesel.
Wow.
Damn.
I know, right? The things you learn, the things you don't know. So
Great, Clover. I'm gonna have to leave you fellas.
yeah.
Apologies.
Go put out all
Yeah,
the fires that you started today. Literal fires that you started today.
Right.
It's just another day. It's
Just another day,
Cheers,
man.
fellas.
Go have fun. Cheers. All right, Clover. And then there were two.
Jesus. Again, once again. There was two.
Once again.
You could have a panel of like 6 or 8 squawking. Nobody gets
I
to
really hate
hear
that,
anything.
man. I really hate that. It's
Now that don't happen on your streams much though.
no, it really doesn't. I go to CT Chaotic Truth live. You should go. It's hilarious. And they have a great kind of a discussion panel almost every day, and it gets so out of control sometimes. I'm just like, dude, shut up and let other people talk.
Yeah.
These guys will just talk over each other and just they got no comportment at all. They don't even know what comportment means. They don't have any. So it's one of the reasons why I run my panels the way I do is because I prefer actual discussion.
Right. Yeah.
I knew it Czechoslovakian. I knew it was some kind of Slovakia.
Yeah, I went over there. I've been over there twice, I think, that his stuff popped up. And I went over there, but it was both times it was like you said, it was a bunch of talking over each other, and honestly topics I could have cared less about anyway. And I'm like, go find something else to do.
Yeah. Hey, Anson, I really appreciate that, man. I really do. I don't know. It seems like YouTube's been weird lately. I'm not really sure.
YouTube's bug boys. Bug boys.
It is actually bugged. And I don't know what, I don't know what to do about it. YouTube's been weird a lot lately. It would be cool if if YouTube would just get its crap together and work, but it just doesn't seem to be.
That ain't gonna fucking happen.
Yeah, I don't think they're motivated to make it happen. You know what I mean? Like I really do believe that that these companies prefer to be a little broken all the time just so that they can't just so that when you when they get
I can tell you that with YouTube it is much bigger, broader, and more complex than anybody honestly could probably even imagine. Like, think of the biggest, bloated, most complex thing that you could possibly think about. Multiply that times 1 million, and it probably still isn't YouTube. And so they prioritize everything, and then because of the huge corporate structure that they are, even once they've decided they're going to try to address or fix, or there was a problem here or there, then because of the corporate structure, actually getting it done is a whole different situation. So they move slow, I guess, is what I'm telling you. So it's kind of like the cable company that they'll be here there tomorrow in between the hours of 7:30 in the morning and 6:30 at night, or whatever.
Yeah,
and then they don't show up. So it's like, that's YouTube.
Yeah.
As long as they don't, their biggest thing, I think, is as long as they don't have, they seem to be Johnny on the spot if it has to do with like their advertisers.
Right.
They definitely lean, and it's an ecosystem. It requires their advertisers, creators, and their viewers for it to work properly. But they do lean more toward the favoring the advertisers than they do, unfortunately, the other two aspects of it.
Yeah, it does seem to be a little on the odd end, but it is what it is, right? I mean, you can't fight City Hall, as they say.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't want to. There's not. That's one of the things about it is you get people that go, because I've heard them say this. Oh man, if I was CEO or whatever for a day, or if I, and it's like whatever. If you even say that, you've got no clue as to how YouTube works, because as a CEO, you're not doing shit, and there's no one person that could possibly even understand. There's no one person that can possibly even understand probably a tenth of YouTube. That's why all of your it's crazy. Like you'll talk to somebody, and then you'll turn around and you'll talk to somebody else, and they'll be like the head of a division or a department or a team leader, right? And then you'll say, so, and we're talking about higher up people. We're not talking about like rank and file
Sure.
support. And you'll be having a conversation, and I'll mention somebody else I know that's the head of another department or another team leader. And you'd think at some fucking point, both of these people that worked for YouTube for 10 years, at some fucking point, they would have crossed paths. And they don't even know each other. And it's like,
Yeah.
how could department heads or team leaders or whatever, directors, not fucking even know each other? Like 10 years, they've never seen a name on a directory, like anything. Like, yeah, I don't know who that is. I don't know. It's like, oh
Yeah.
my God, this is insane.
It's pretty crazy for sure. It's pretty crazy. All right. So what about the new AI law that Newscom has passed in California?
Oh,
Or
you'll have to tell me about all this shit, dude. I don't y'all stay way too plugged in, man. I'm out pulling triggers and shit. So
Yeah. Okay. Well, we won't get into that. It's just it
why not?
basically.
What was his deal?
Well, basically, he's saying that you can't use AI to meme political figures. Actually, I think you can't use them to meme anybody. And the way that I think that
So what do you got to do it manually yourself or something? I don't understand.
yeah, well, you have to credit it as AI. You have to say this is AI or whatever. I don't know. It's a weird deal.
YouTube's already got that, right? They've
Yeah.
already got the declaration thing of if it's AI generated.
Yeah, I think it's enough. I think it's mostly Newsom trying to, stay out of jail at this point.
Yeah,
So.
right. I don't know, man. I don't know that I necessarily got a problem with that. Because I don't know where we go. I mean, it's getting to the point. I mean, people are stupid. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, well, let me back up, not be so mean. Nah, I'm gonna fucking be mean. People are stupid. That they'll believe anything. And so when you've got a situation like that, and you've got technology that just continues to get better and better and better, that even the smart people could be fooled. I mean, man, you were talking about disclaimers on products and shit earlier, right?
Yeah.
Like, food or packaging, the curling iron, whatever it might be. Like that's stupid. But having some type of a disclaimer on some type of fake shit or something, I think might be, I don't know, that could be beneficial. Like, it doesn't harm the person that come up with the idea, that prompted the AI, that ran the software, that created it. How does that harm that? You know what I mean? I don't see where there's any harm with that type of thing, saying, hey, you've got a disclaimer. I mean, look at X, for example, with like parody accounts, right? How they have to have the disclaimer of their parody accounts.
Yeah, there's a bunch of things there that should be addressed. I'm just really not sure. That it can be addressed in the right way, the way things are right now. I think that we're too wrapped up in other things.
Yeah.
So, is what it is.
A lot of moving parts and pieces.
It's a lot of moving parts, and it's a lot of things that most people.
That's why it's nice to unplug every now and then, Grid.
It's also a lot of parts that a lot of people just aren't going to understand.
Yeah.
Right. Like they're just not. They're going to knee-jerk reaction, which is what the Dems always want, right? Like the one thing the leftists fear the most is someone that's informed on a subject.
Well, yeah.
Because
I don't know. Let me back
get rid
up.
of that knee-jerk reaction. You get rid of the nonsense.
I think that happens on both sides, man.
Yeah, I mean, I can more or less I can agree that there is some there's some actors on the right that believe that, but I think overall that most of the people on the right, or even center, honestly, would rather people be actually educated on something and have their own opinion rather than not, being deceived into it.
Yeah.
And I think the leftists don't care. And I think that they would actually prefer to deceive people than, a comfortable lie is better than an inconvenient truth to the leftists.
Right. Yeah.
So
That was a shitty movie, by the way.
I know.
Wasn't no superheroes in it or nothing.
I know. No spandex, no big boobs.
At least it wasn't Al Gore wasn't dancing in it. Wasn't that his thing that everybody thought was funny with him?
I don't know. I kind of ignore the fact that Al Gore exists. So
he created the internet, man. Come on.
I read that somewhere. I just didn't really believe it.
Yeah. We wouldn't be talking now if it wasn't for Al Gore. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just think the timing is very convenient. The election's coming up.
Yeah, but I mean, it is, again, it's putting a disclaimer on something like that.
Well, no, that's what we think is going to be is what it's going to rise to. Currently, I don't think it actually says that. I think that's what. I think what's going to happen is I think it'll get challenged in the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court's going to say no, it's okay, and they will back it down to that you have to put a disclaimer on it.
Right.
And that's what I think.
Yeah, it'll be the same as, so when I do any of my affiliate marketing stuff, people on my Discord knows this, I'll drop links or do things, and I've got to say, hey, these are fucking affiliate links. You know what I mean? Like, I've got there is a disclosure. There's such a thing as disclosure. So, yeah, I mean, Anson out there was talking about giving credit, and maybe Anson read the bill or the whatever it was. Because I'm flying blind on this, admittedly, but
everyone is.
There is a difference. There is a difference between you're legally bound to give credit to some company, and you simply have to put a disclaimer. To me, that's two totally different things.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
Well, one's specific where one is not. Right?
Yeah. Well, the thing is that it's not clearly enough. As far as I know, it's not clearly enough defined as yet. And I think that that's on purpose. I think that they want it to go to court.
Always.
I think they want it to go to court. I think they want to deny, to delay and deny things. Yeah. And until they can make that happen,
don't you hate that?
It's just the way it is.
Don't you hate that? They'll write a 487,000 page fucking bill
that they don't understand.
That is just about. Absolute dribble.
Yep.
And then expect the courts to go through it when they could very simply just write a literal fucking 1-page bill to get accomplished whatever their goal is. But the problem is they want to be so secretive and sneaky and backroom deal and bloat and,
Yeah. The backroom deals we obviously know about. The amount of bloat that's being added into all laws lately is, it's annoying, so.
Yeah.
It's annoying. Sorry, my phone is going nuts. I'm actually I'm going to have to end a little early today. I normally would go to 3, but I'm, as you've heard, my phone's been blowing up for the last almost hour, and I'm going to have to go attend to that. So, Clovertac, appreciate you coming up, man. I hope you feel better.
Yeah, I'm getting there. Man.
I know. It's a road, right?
My plan is to sneak into the gym finally again tomorrow. That's my plan.
Okay.
So
okay, I'll be in the gym tomorrow too. Not in your gym.
I miss the gym, man. So, but that's my plan, is to try to get in there and we'll see how that goes. And
yeah,
It can only be one or two ways. It can only go good or bad. So that's the good news.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. So yeah, guys, I'm gonna just kind of close out here. Basically, you know, we've kind of wandered around today. I didn't actually intend to do that. It just kind of happened. I don't really, and it's fine. I don't. It's a good Thursday afternoon stream to kind of just get some perspective. We've had a lot go on this week. There's a lot of things that are there's a lot of things out there that I think that we need to probably just not even care about, but they're in our faces 24/7. So,
well,
knowing and
caring, being aware and caring is two different things.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Be aware, but let's push that caring level down a little bit. And guys, I'm going to send you over to Chaotic Truth. You're really going to enjoy the conversation over there, I think. And I hope that everybody has a great rest of your day. And with that, I'm going to close this out. You guys have a great day and get off my lawn and all that cool stuff. See ya.
Bye.